Our next speaker on the panel is again a very great leader and quite a character. I mean Ruud Lubbers. He's the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands. Today he is the chair of the Energy Research Center in the Netherlands, Atoms for Peace, and Rotterdam Climate Initiative. But during the history of the Green Cross, he played absolutely special role in the creation and the development of our organization. He's the member of our honorary board, but I must say that there are very few people without whose presence and work Green Cross would not have come into existence. And Mr. Lubbers is one of those few people. Please welcome Mr. Lubbers.
Alexander, thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to say a few words. 20 years Green Cross. I want to congratulate you with this. And you're right, I feel very proud myself too of the Green Cross. Fantastic what you did. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for continuing a very important role in the Earth Charter movement as well. But then, congratulations in the first place to Michael Gorbachev. He was so kind to call me my old friend. Maybe you are a bit surprised. How can he be an old friend? Is that the history of the Green Cross, the 20 years here? This goes back a little bit further. It goes back 10 years earlier. Then I sit down in the White House with Ronald Reagan. In those days, America was putting a lot of pressure on the Netherlands, which I was Prime Minister, to deploy INF new nuclear systems. You know how this goes, maybe, these meetings with people around, you have your notes, you make your stories. And then something special happened after that meeting. Ronald Reagan wanted to have a few words with me, one-to-one. And he said, Ruud, you seem to think that I like these missiles, but I hate them. So then I said, why do you put pressure on me to deploy them? Ah, he said, this is my life experience. When I want to be successful, I want to put some pressure first. Make the other side a bit nervous. But I want to assure you here, Ruud, I do all what I can do to reach an agreement with Moscow. There is the beginning of the work of friend Ruud Lubbers. Because, for obvious reasons, I took a discreet contact with Moscow to say there is a Prime Minister in the Netherlands who has this objective to come to an agreement not to deploy. I didn't know how it worked out in Moscow. But since then, there was a bit of an informal relation already with Michael Gorbachev. I informed him how he went forward, and I'm very proud that he is now the Nobel Prize for Peace, and that had something to do, certainly, with this effort and results. To agree with the person who was known as a hawk those days, Ronald Reagan. And I knew that at the same time he was interested to come to an agreement. But it was 10 years before we were together in The Hague. Michael Gorbachev, he reported about the enthusiasm of our then Queen, Beatrix, those days still. And I had then asked him to come over to sit down with Maurice Strong, the UN person, to pull our forces together, to create something convincing. And therefore I started to ask you, to thank you, Alexander, to invite me and to report to all of you that this creation of the Green Cross has been an enormously important thing to do. And it's good to see my old friend, Michael Gorbachev, and listening again to him when he is so motivated about how to prevent things which should not happen, but to realize things is very key. Then tomorrow we'll sit down on the Earth Dialogue. So for me the story is there about peace and environment. When I listened to my old friend, I heard that again. And he never is speaking in superficial language. I even heard him to say to the Americans here in the room, when you go back to Washington, say a few words to your president. Yeah, you heard that all. Don't do stupid things, etc. As an old friend of Michael Gorbachev, I allow myself to say the same to those who are here from Moscow. Maybe including me is the most prominent. Michael Gorbachev, but others too, to understand that this presence of chemical weapons in Syria should be a problem for everybody, not only for the Americans. So I think in your tradition, promoting peace, you know, good things for the environment, working together in the Earth Charter initiative. To say at this point of Syria, Michael Gorbachev was very specific. Presence of chemical weapons in a country which obviously is not well organized. Not well, at least what you can say is Syria is not well organized. And what we know that there are in Syria chemical weapons. So there is a responsibility here, in the first place, also for Russia. How are you going to prevent that this ends in violence? How do we achieve some common understanding that for Moscow as well as for Washington, chemical weapons are not acceptable? We should maybe not look who is wrong and who is right, but see is another common responsibility of these two capitals, Moscow and Washington. They have one same responsibility. Now we know that there are chemical weapons. That is not quarrel from whom power group is where. It's not relevant. Relevant is the fact that both for Moscow and for Washington, the presence of those chemical weapons is not acceptable. So there is a joint responsibility for these two respectable powers, Moscow and Washington, to say we cannot accept this. So let's sit down together. Many things we, Moscow and Washington, are quarreling. But on this point, it's so key, so vital for the world that we sit down to see if we join certain presence together in Syria to prevent the use of the chemical weapons there maybe we are on a better track. Let me repeat the same creativity which was practiced in Reykjavik, which does not end in another round of nuclear round, employing another types of nuclear systems. It came to the conclusion, and this was our friend Michael Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan who did it. If you then look today to Syria, I said when those days, the time of the Cold War, were capable to agree on not another round of nuclear war arms, is it not possible that these two capitals now end their controversy and say, let's not ask for the proof who was in possession of the chemical arm, who had used them, but simply agree on one fact of life. Two of us know there are chemical weapons there. We have to take our own responsibility as Moscow and Washington together to prevent the use of them. How can we come to some approach together to show the world that this was vital? So, I answered for my friend, and I respect so much Michael Gorbachev. Don't send only in this room a message to the American friends that they should go, when they go back to Washington, something to say that Obama, that he's on the wrong track. But I like to say to my Russian friends, and I'm serious, when you go back to Moscow, please inform your people that the presence of chemical weapons there in Syria is as much a problem of us as of the Americans. So let's agree how we can work together to prevent another disaster. Thank you so much.